right, I am back for another reacting to your unpopular opinions. I put this post out in my Discord and on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and I actually recorded this video, like the video you're about to watch, maybe last week. So this is part two that I recorded for a very, very long time. So, editing and whatnot. There'll probably, I think, be one more part to this video. But yeah, this is me reacting to the hot takes that you told me about, your Wheel of Time unpopular opinions. I go through Discord and the YouTube comments, some of the YouTube comments in this video that you're going to watch here. And the spoilers, again, all the way through to the very, very end of the Wheel of Time book series, and actually beyond the Wheel of Time book series. So if you haven't finished the series, this is not a safe video for you. I am sorry. But if you have, let's get into your hot takes.
Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy. Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy.
All right, Fudgy Vamp. Perrin is the only one of the three boys, I'm assuming, who actively let the Shan enslave people. Matt freed as many as he could before noping out of Abu Dar. Perrin told the Shan he had 400 channel. That's true. 400 channelers waiting to be drugged and leashed if he could get his wife back, plus any Dakovali they might claim. That is true. Perrin just literally handed a bunch of women to the Shan to enslave. Perrin, very, very actively participated. Matt did too, though. Matt catches a Damane, I believe, during the last battle, and is just like, okay, I guess she's mine. Like he has no. Matt is the epitome of doesn't think about things. I think, like, unless he absolutely has to, like unless it's in front of his face. He literally at one point, when he's traveling with Jolene and the Suldam, he basically sees them as equally bad. Despite the fact that one group of them, the Suldam, enslaved the other ones. Like, he's just like, but they're both annoying, so they're both bad. It's like, no, Matt, they're not. No, one of them actively committed crimes against humanity. Like, no, they're not equally bad. But, yeah, the reason that doesn't make me completely erase, basically ruin Matt for me is legitimately, because I know we all knew, going into this, that RJ had plans for Outriggers. I always, especially when the story ended, assumed that Matt's story was going to continue. And he is, of all of the three boys, the least mature. So he has to grow into realizing that, no, you can't just stand in front of, no, slavery's bad, and you can't say that it is equally bad as people who just kind of annoy you. That's not the same thing. But it is true. Perrin legitimately just hands, here, I need my wife back, have 400 women, plus anybody else that you get, and kill all these people. I don't care. He doesn't care. It's not great. It's not great. All right, we've got another one from here, the dark one here. Catswain and Soriella, maybe not the correct, I think it is Sorelia, were right. Rand needed to laugh and cry. He'd shut off all of his emotions and was dangerous by feeling nothing. Yes. We saw him being coddled by the maidens and Min in regards to not challenging him or telling him to stop with all the negative thoughts and being as hard as Quendiar. And if that had kept up, then he probably would have bale-fired existence. So having to bring his father into everything to try and spark some emotion in Rand was necessary. Yes. Is this a hot take? I'm not sure if this, because I don't disagree with Cadswain and, by extension, Sorelia's motives. I think they were right. I think Rand was wrong. And I find it weird, people will find, that part of him, when he's hard and strong and feel, inspirational or a ideal to aspire to. It's not. That is horribly unhealthy, especially given the trauma that he's gone through. He needs to be crying, he needs to be laughing, he needs to be feeling things. My God, sorry, I'm just having this memory back to, I've talked about it a bit when I was in the brain fog and not feeling emotions. I did not feel human. It just was not a good, you need to feel things. Feeling joy and feeling sadness are part of what is it makes you invested in the world, and you need to be invested in it, because the way that he was going to end up being Moradin, just looking around and, yeah, no, all I see is badness and suffering, and the merciful thing to do is end it. Like, that's where he was headed. So I agree with Cadsuane and Sora Lea's motives. I do not know, again, I got to pay attention this time around, that I agree with their methods. Okay, got Fudgy Vamp here. An opinion I've seen on Reddit. Rand should have been colder and harder, and he was too weak, except maybe Darth Rand mode. He should have been like that the whole time. Of course, this is from Reddit. No! That is... No! Sorry, this is the opposite of the message that you... No! Okay, this is Remy. I prefer the show over the books. No weird descriptions of chesticles and all that. Huh. Sorry. I mean, it is true. There's no weird descriptions. You could just see them. So that is good. I don't know if I would... there's things I do like better in the show, but the books are my friends. I've known the books for so long, but that is interesting. I do know that there are people who do that, like, who do prefer this, though, especially people who came into the show first. Like, that's the characters that they know, right? So, but yeah, okay, that's interesting. Also, Rand is a lot less annoying in the show. Everybody's a lot less annoying in the show, I'd have to say. I didn't have to skip his parts like I did in the books. Ooh, I find I've never done that. Like, I know people do, like, character read-throughs and, like, whatever, like, they'll skip. I can't, I'm kind of a completionist. Like, I don't know that I could do that. I don't know that I could just read certain sections. Anyway, Matt annoyed me during parts of season 1, but in season 2, he wasn't annoying or frustrating at all to me, and I didn't have to skip anything like I had to do when reading the books. Yeah, well, they're all less annoying. Like, I think, because they're older, or at least their personalities are older. Because in the books, their personalities are very young, very, very young. And so there's a lot of, like, I don't know, when it's one of the things that's interesting, having been reading these books for so long, there's a lot of things that I look at now and I'm going back like, oh, that was a dumb, how could you be so stupid? And then I have to remember, oh, like, they're 16, they're 19. Yeah, that's stupid. But in the books, they feel like they just feel, or in the show, I should say, they feel older. They feel like they're thinking things through. So I see this. I can see this take. All right, got another one here from Flamingo Sedai. I wouldn't be disappointed if Rand went Death Star on Abu Dar instead of vomiting and running away. But that's more of my anti-Shan-Chan attitude than anything else. I mean, Abu Dar is full of people who are not necessarily Shan-Chan. They were a conquered nation. I mean, they submitted, but they were conquered. So, you know. But yeah, okay. I can see that. Oh, and here's another one. The Andor succession plot is one of my favorites. Take that, Reddit. Oh, there's some Reddit's taking some hits here. I don't have as much animosity towards the Andor succession plot as a lot of people do. I don't find it thrilling, but I also don't hate it. Like, it doesn't feel to me, maybe it's just in my perspective, but the Shan-Chan plot feels like it drags on, especially on rereads. Whereas the Andor succession plot doesn't. And I think one of the reasons, actually, it just hit me recently, that one of the reasons that the Shan-Chan plot, or not the Shan-Chan, the Aiel, the bad Aiel, Shido, the Shido plot line feels like it drags on to me, is that, we spend a lot of time in the Shido camp with Fail and Morghese and Alejandra, I think, and all of them, and they are trying their best to escape, and nothing they do matters, really. It does, like, Aiel picks up some people there that are going to be their allies, but nothing that they do in there actually helps them, and so it's just frustrating. Like, I just wonder, like, I don't need to see any of this. I don't need to see any of what she's doing with Roland, because that's horrifying, and I don't need to see any of this because it's just pointless. Perrin's gonna come in here and smash some people and then they're gonna be fine. And so it just feels like it drags on. Whereas the Andor succession plot, there's a satisfying conclusion. Like, Fael helping Perrin helping Fael escape is obviously satisfying, but it just feels like, well, we spent like books waiting for him to just hit something with his hammer or his axe, like, but whereas the succession plot, all of that maneuvering that she was doing actually paid off. Like, it actually does something. And so it doesn't feel as unsatisfying to me as the Shido one does. Okay, we're gonna move on to the YouTube comments. So this one is from Dia3391. I read the books after watching season 1 and falling in love with it. I found the main protagonists in the show much more likable, especially the two Rivers kids. Their age and level of maturity, okay, yes, in the show makes a lot more sense and is more realistic, especially for a lot of what each of them end up accomplishing in the later books. Yeah, they do seem older in the show. They just act older. Although I will, like, some of them definitely, their behavior becomes more age appropriate as the books go on, but they definitely seem older in the show. This is what I mean. People who start with the show find the characters, that's who they know, right? And so that's who they like. And then they go back to the books, or they go to the books, and it's like, oh, they're babies. Like, they're just, I totally get this. Okay, somebody actually replied to this. Their age is the same, yes, which makes it all the more weird that their level of maturity isn't in the books. In the books, the boys read like they're 15 and Egg like she's 12 or something. I started reading 20 plus years ago, and I totally agree the show is a huge improvement on that score. Yeah, I do think that there is something to be said about like reading the series as an adult versus having read it like when, I started reading when I was 19, but I bet you if you picked up the series like when you were in your teens, they didn't seem immature to you. But if you're picking it up like at 30, 40, getting close to 50, whatever, they seem so young. All right, the other one here from Alex. This is the same as the dark one. Don't know if it counts as a hot take, but for me, it pisses me off just how much time we waste on Androl in the last book. Don't get me wrong, the gateway use is cool and all, but come on, suddenly the dude's an ace that can do anything, knows everything, and we gotta waste 500 pages on him and just how fucking cool and wise and smart, but oh so humble and likable he is in the last... Yeah, I get this. His gateway use, I'm on record, totally satisfying for me. Like, it drove me crazy how little people, how they just didn't get how amazing gateways were in the series at all. It drove me insane. Like, just come on. But, yeah, I get this. Especially, like, given, and again, I am on record as saying that there are some arcs in the series that I feel like were unfinished. Like, the Moraine Nynaeve arc, I don't think got the ending that it needed, or at least as much. Like it got an ending, but it didn't, like, there was more, there could have been so much more, for that. And instead we get like 500 pages of Androl, which, somebody pointed out to us recently, like in the fandom, basically he was 30. And people will call Egwene and Mary Sue. This man is 30 and he's like traveled the world. He's the only person who apparently learned another language. No, he's a child. I mean, he's not a child, but he's just a lot younger than he should be for the life experience that he apparently has had. Anyway, I wouldn't mind his character. Hell, I'd probably even like him a lot more if the storyline hadn't taken up so much time from established characters and felt more organic. In a way, him and his arc would feel kind of forced, like shoehorned into the story. But sadly, in the last damn book, instead of spending more time with characters we've known for so many books, we got to spend time with this new dude. Yeah. Also, I feel like him and his arc eclipses Pavara, yes, who is already an established character with an arc and role in the story that basically gets kind of pushed to the side for his. Or at least that's how it feels like to me, and that just annoys me. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I do agree with that. I do agree that there was a lot of focus placed on Androl, and I was way more interested in Pavara. And I got frustrated. Like, why are we always seeing it from Androl's perspective? I'm much more interested in what Pavara is feeling. Like, she was a red Aja who was bonded to, like, it's just, anyway, I agree with this hot take. All right, the Mike Mulligan says, Crossroads of Twilight in retrospect is a great book. Like that moment on a roller coaster where everything stops for a moment before everything accelerates to the end. Whoo! This is a hot take. This is such a hot take. I can see this as a take for that. Like, yes, I hate roller coasters, so this is not going to sell me on it, but I can see this as a justification for this story, for this basically being a part of the narrative. Whew. I'd be curious to know if Mike Mulligan read the books as they were coming out, because I know I can't remember what the first book I had to wait for was, but I know I waited for this one. I know I did. And it was, Like when I read it, like I was like, oh yay, great to be back in that world, yay! And then you had to wait for the next one, and reading it again, and I was just like, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. I can't believe this. Nothing happened. So, this is a hot take. It's an interesting way of thinking about it, though. Okay, some guy named Dr. J. Fail and Perrin is one of the best love stories in the books, and the truest example of navigating a relationship that RJ manages to cram into the story. I think the books would be poorer without them. I would agree. I think the books would be poorer without them. I think that Fail is an excellent partner for Perrin. I'm much more convinced that Fail is a good partner for Perrin than that Perrin is a good partner for Fail. Like, she complements him really, really well. Don't know that he complements her as well. But I also would, it's interesting, because I love them when they are just in love. Like, I love the way he thinks about her when he's not just thinking about how she smells. Like, when he just thinks about how much she loves him, and when she thinks about him and how much she loves him. I love that. When they're working together well, I love that. I do think that there are, I guess I'm not alone in this. This is in no way a hot take, but there are aspects of their relationship that are abusive and not great, and that I don't enjoy watching even in the slightest. But yeah, I actually feel like their love probably I'm trying to think, even, like, I don't know, okay, that poem that Lan says to Nynaeve in book 1, like, I will hate the man you choose, is one of the most beautifully written things in the books, and I love Lan and Nynaeve. I don't know that I'm trying to think if there are any moments in the books of Lan and Nynaeve's relationship, like just when they're being in love, that make me cry, because I don't think there are. But there are from Fail and Perrin. There are, like, their wedding vows, I cry every time. When Perrin writes her that letter, when, he's basically saying goodbye, I cry. When he finds her, I cry. Like, their love story hits me. I do admit I cry very easily, but, like, the fact that I cry in their love story, but I don't cry. I don't think, if there are moments in the books that I can remember, where just Lan and Nynaeve being in love just brings tears to my eyes every time. I don't think there is. So, yeah, I do agree. I think the books would be poorer without them, though. I agree with this. Okay, Toby Jimmy 7194. One power use, especially in battles, should be way more brutal than depicted. Both Aes Sedai and Shan-Chan. And this poor use cases of the one power carried over to the TV show as well. Huh. Okay, first of all, Dumais Wells just wants to get you on the phone and have a conversation, because they're exploding bodies. Is the term meat grinder used, or is that just the way it's described in the fandom? There are bodies exploding. That is pretty brutal and revolting. So, yeah. I would go the opposite. Not that I don't think it should be, decimating, you should be taking out armies with the power. I agree. But I don't know that it needs to be that violent. The violence of exploding bodies and, striking people with lightning or whatever strikes me as excessive when you have magic where you could just, I don't know, put a dome around them, suck all the air out. Now you've just killed them all because they can't breathe. Just do that. You can do it much more cleanly than it is done in the books. And I don't know, because obviously magic isn't real, but I would feel like that would be way more efficient. You want to take out that army? Okay, just cut them all in half. Which is brutal, but way less brutal than blowing them up, or killing them all with setting them on fire or whatever. Just do it efficiently. Why are we doing everything the most brutal way? I don't know. The only reason, I would say, for example, exploding the bodies at Dumais Wells makes sense to me is, A, it's shock and awe. You're terrifying them. Maybe you don't want to kill the entirety of the enemy. You want them to run away screaming. You want them there to be survivors. So you're doing it in the most brutal way possible in order to scare as many of them as possible so they leave. And so you don't have to kill them. That could work. And also Taim is evil. So that doing it in horrible, horrible ways makes sense. But just for the efficiency of fighting in battle, I see no reason for it to be brutal. I don't. I would also say in the show it gets pretty brutal. Like I saw intestines when Moraine took out some Trollocs. Like there were. I saw the innards. So people replied to this. Rolling Ring of Earth and Fire wants a word. Perrin puking. Yes, that was Demise Wells, and it was terrible. The use of the one power, and yeah, Twig 85-23. The uses of the one power during the last battle were definitely underwhelming, especially after we got a taste of Demise Wells. Again, though, I don't know, why do they have to be brutal? Like, if you are trying to kill people, you don't have to do, like, it's, I would imagine, like, more efficient to kill people in less explodey ways. All right, this is JRR592. This isn't a hot take, just a hot take that applies to a couple of content creators, okay? They know who they are. Sorry, does this mean, am I about to call some people out by reading this comment? I don't know. But there is not one thing I find sympathetic about Lanfear's character. Girl, we get it, you got dumped. Possibly even cheated on, but girl participated in the near extermination of the human race. She mentally tortured God only knows how many people in the dream world, and she specifically said that she wished she'd been awakened when Rand was a child so she could groom him. That is true. She is bad news bears regardless of how her relationship ended. She is an amazing villain. Let's keep her that way. Okay. I mean, I don't know who they're talking about, like, as far as content creators, unless maybe Matt Hatch, because Matt Hatch loves Lanfear. But I think Matt Hatch knows Lanfear is a villain. I don't think he thinks that, oh, she's got a point and we should be on her side. I think he thinks she's an amazing villain. And I think what makes a really good villain is having a complex backstory. Like, not, well, it doesn't have to have a complex backstory, but being a fully fledged human and not, or character, if we're talking like sci-fi or whatever, but not everything that is in their life has to be bad. Like, so I could see, like, the way Matt Hatch envisions the relationship between Luz Theron and Mirren, Lanfear before the breaking, is one of an imbalanced power dynamic where basically he used his power to control her and then dumped her for somebody else. And I can see that. I can actually see that. And I like a villain that has a point. That has a point that is not into, like, maybe they have their point and then they take it too far. Right? But I find that way more interesting than a villain that's just like, I'm evil because evil is fun and blah, blah, blah. Like, that is not an interesting villain. So, yeah, I think that is, this is not a hot take. I do think she's a villain, but I do also think that, I think villains can have sympathetic things about them, personally. Now, if you don't find her sympathetic, that's fine, but I find things in Maggedion sympathetic just because I do get her not wanting to confront things. I also am non-confrontational, so maybe that's another reason I like Maggedion. Talked about her a couple of videos, so yeah. Okay, Twig 8523. I love the so-called slog, where we see people finding their new equilibrium. I often wish that fantasy adventure books would spend more time acclimating to the main character's status quo before the inciting event and their call to adventure. Huh. Yeah, this reminds me of a meme, actually, that I did in a recent meme review of, like, it wasn't the slog, it was RJ spending more time in this world and this character that we love, with these characters that we love. And, yeah, I don't so much, I get this take, actually, I get this take. Because I don't so much hate the slog. Like, there are things in every book that I enjoy. And I do enjoy spending time with characters. I think I'm sure, along with many people, like, everybody has their favorite characters, right? So you read certain books and then your favorite doesn't show up at all. That feels frustrating. It's just like, like, you know, if you happen to be a Perrin stan, you probably got real annoyed in the Fires of Heaven. It was like, what the fuck, you know? And I think one of the slog books is one that Nynaeve doesn't show up, and I know that drove me crazy because I kept waiting. Like, we're spending time with these characters in these off moments, and I don't get to see any of Nynaeve in this. Like, yeah, like, that drove me crazy. But I do get this. It would be nice if you could spend more time with the characters before the inciting incident. However, I do know that, like, if you watch, you know, reactions by people who didn't read the books to episode 1 of the show, every single one of them was like, it got exciting when the inciting incident occurred. They all felt it started slow. And like those people, those of us who loved the books, loved, if you liked the show, you liked seeing just the two rivers and, you know, them hanging out in the wine spring inn and seeing all, like that was fun for us because we know these characters and we like them. But if you don't know them, then you don't know why you care. So it would be nice, but I also get why they have to have the inciting incident earlier, just because, yeah, if you don't know these characters, you don't know why you care about them, then just seeing them hang out feels like wasted time. Okay, Plano Fatak. Fane's ending was good and fitting. This is a hot take. Wow, I don't know anybody who's satisfied. Like, I want more how? I want so much more. Now, granted, I know why I found Fane's ending anticlimactic. I mean, I'm sure I know a lot of us. Like, they built him up and then he just sort of disappears and he comes back and he's a fog. Right? He's just Mashadar. And okay, fine. In my mind, and granted, this is like it's a remnant or like a leftover from the fact that when the books were handed to me, like the first book was handed to me, it was like, oh, here, it's basically a clone of The Lord of the Rings. And obviously it's not. Like, it very much isn't. But I guess because of that, like I was mapping things from the Wheel of Time onto The Lord of the Rings, and I mapped Fane onto Gollum. And so I thought Fane was going to do something at the end that was going to seal the prison. I thought, like, by accident or whatever, I thought that's what he was going to do. And that would have been satisfying to me, because that was my idea. Other people have said that they thought he and, like, his whole thing was going to become the new Dark One. Like, Rand was going to kill the old Dark One and Fane would become the new one. And that would have been satisfying. Like, that would have made sense to me. And there are all these things. I'm curious as to how you find it good and fitting, because I feel like it was a lot of build-up for nothing. This is a hot take. I did ask for hot takes. This is a hot take. Yeah, they could have completely, sorry, this is MK Wills. Yeah, they could have completely done away with Perrin's arc. This one hurts my heart. Very reluctant to agree, but in my heart, I know you are right from a story-driven perspective. These are people who, okay, this is like a complete contradiction to a previous comment about like Perrin and Fail and the story would be worse for them. I agree that the story would be worse for them. I don't know that I want them gone. I mean, Perrin contributes something in the last battle. He definitely does something very, very important, but I feel like he's load-bearing. There's a hot take and it hurts me. Hurt my feelings. Sorry, it's another one. Okay, by Brendan and Roy, whatever. You could delete Perrin and Fael after book 4 without making any meaningful difference to the story. I'm sad by this comment. Okay, so people came to Perrin and Fael's defense in the comments. Okay, Perrin and Fael, after book 4, did more to unite the forces of light for the last battle than Rand, Egwene, and Elaine combined. That's a strong statement. That's a really strong statement. I don't know that Fael did so much, and Perrin basically handed a bunch of channelers to the Shan-Chan just for, hey, look here, slavery, have fun. That's not great. But, okay. Okay, I don't know if I'd say more than the others combined, but they definitely helped unite some people. Again, including the Shan-Chan, by giving them slaves. Just handing them the Shido. Just here, all their channelers. Any Dakavali you want. Just go and go nuts! Whatever. They definitely did that. Well, Perrin did that. Fael didn't really have a choice. She was too busy being enslaved. She was enslaved, basically, by the Shido at that point. And then I don't know how to read this. No, you can't. Without Perrin and Fael in memory of light, the forces of light lose. There's no horn. That is true. I still think Fael should have blown it, too. No stopping Lanfear. A lot goes wrong. This person might not know what Brandon Sanderson recently revealed about Lanfear, because nobody stopped Lanfear. Lanfear's fine. Lanfear is just out there living her life. If you don't know, I have a video on this. I'll link it, I guess, in the description. Or I'll put it up here so you can see the name of it. Whatever. Brandon's got a secret. But yeah, no. Lanfear's fine. Perrin thinks he stopped her, but he's fine. As a Suroth stan, I'm saying Karima McAdams did an amazing job portraying her. I've seen a lot of people saying she sucked, but I personally think that was because we weren't used to hearing American accents in the show, so it took us out of the story a bit. I didn't know. That's the actress who played Suroth in the show. I didn't know her name, so okay. I've never known anybody to call themselves a Suroth stan. Like, I'm assuming as a villain, which, fine, like, people are stans of villains all the time. I'm okay with that, but I've never heard anybody be big on Suroth. I'm intrigued by this too. I'm just beyond the take about this actress doing an amazing job. I didn't know that was a take. It was not my favorite performance, but I do agree that the American accents hit my ear wrong. I thought actually, Suroth. No, it wasn't Suroth. It was Suroth's voice. I forget her name. It's played by. Okay. Anyway, the Suroth's voice's accent, like the Southern accent, worked. That didn't hit my ear wrong, but the standard American accent did every single time. Like there's one Dakovale who actually speaks them. It's like every time, I'm like when I even rewatch it, I'm like, oh, you just sound like a regular American, and it doesn't feel like it belongs in this world, which is dumb. It's dumb, and I know that's just my perspective, but it hits wrong. Surat's voice, I can see that being a reason that would take you out of the story a bit, but yeah, I didn't know that people were talking about this. Okay. All right, we have here Alexander Erickson. Okay, I have several. Elida is a product of her time, not evil. Sorry, I'm one sentence in. Not evil. Yes, Elida is not evil. I think that should just be, people should know. Elida is not evil. She's just wrong. She's a bad person. She's an unpleasant person, but she's not evil. She believes the Dragon Reborn is going to ruin the world, not mend it. The Aes Sedai are feared. The story is told almost exclusively from a perspective of them as heroes, but they're... Okay, I'm going to go back to this a lot. She believes the dragon is going to ruin the world, not mend it. I think she thinks that the dragon... Okay, this is obviously opinions. I'm giving my opinion. I think that she thinks the dragon is going to save the world, but she has her own biases about men, just in general. And of course, a man who can channel being mad, she obviously has a bias about that. So she thinks that he needs to be basically caged until he saves the world. That's what I think. Elida is one of the more fascinating characters to me. And I find it really alarming how people are so excited that she gets enslaved at the end. Because she legitimately thinks she's trying to save the world. Like, she legitimately thinks she's the person who has been given knowledge. She has this foretelling. She has this gift. And, well, the pattern gave her this gift for a reason, obviously. That is a logical thing to think. Not everybody has foretelling. So she has this foretellings. They point her in a direction. She just aims wrong, and she misinterprets her foretellings. But she legitimately is trying to save the world. And so the fact that she gets, sent off to the Shanshan, and without the Outrigger novels, that's just her fate, as far as the story is concerned. And everybody's like, yeah, she's a slave. Isn't that funny? I'm like, no, it's not. So her punishment for being wrong is eternal enslavement? That's... No. Which is why she's a part of my Outrigger thing. My Outrigger headcanon. I want her to be freed. She was just wrong. That was her, she was just wrong. About a lot of things. And she was unpleasant. But being unpleasant doesn't make you evil. It just doesn't. Okay, sorry, next opinion. The Aes Sedai are feared. The story is told almost exclusively from a perspective of them as heroes, but there is a lot of evidence that the villagers are afraid of them. Yes, that is true. The conflict begins with an Aes Sedai and the White Cloaks Sorry, the grammar here, I'm having some trouble. Okay. The conflict begins with Aes Sedai and the White Cloaks want a world without Aes Sedai. Okay? Jordan tells his story so that you think of them as peacekeepers, but there is no evidence in the story for that being the case. I don't think he tells the story that way. I think we know a lot of Aes Sedai, but he definitely colors, I think just evidence of the fact that so many people hate the Aes Sedai. He definitely colors the Aes Sedai poorly. We know Moiraine and we like Moiraine, but even she does shady stuff that we go, why are you handing Lan's, Bond off without his consent, and stop trying to manipulate Rand, stop giving him coats he doesn't want. The Aes Sedai, I think, are portrayed in the books in a way that is slanted against them. I don't think that RJ wanted us to think of the Aes Sedai as just good. I don't think that was at all what he wanted us to take. But okay, I ultimately think he viewed the power similar to the nuclear bomb, something we would have been best to leave untouched, but human curiosity got the best of us. Okay. I this is, your opinion. That's fine. I don't think that he thought that either. Like, with the wheel being as it is, there's going to be a point in the turning of the wheel that at a certain point, like one of the ages, we're going to lose the power and then discover it again. So I think that is just part of the cycle that he envisioned being natural. Like, it's not like a should and shouldn't thing. It's a case of, this is what fate will determine. At this point in the wheel, you will discover it. At this point in the wheel, you will forget it. At this point in the wheel, you'll rediscover it again, and blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on and on and on like that. So, All right, and there you have it. There's some more of your hot takes and my thoughts on them. What are your thoughts on the hot takes and also on my thoughts about... Let's make this cycle keep going. Also, if you have any more hot takes, you can leave them in the comments below or on the original post, or I guess join the Discord, which is also linked in the description below. And if you like my content and you want to support me, I do have a Patreon that is also linked in the description below. To my patrons, as always, thank you. This would not be possible without you, so I am really, really grateful for your continued support. And with that, I am gonna end this here, so please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.